Available right now. Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek, Episode 2.
SNAPBOX.
Download on Podbean and iTunes.
Everything in the 80s kind of sounded like an aerobics workout show.
As the pop culture universe continues to grow, Loop and Larry continue to break it down into bite-sized portions.
I'm gonna go down to this scary-looking basement. No, don't do it!
But if you don't do it, there's no movie.
It's episode 2 of Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek, the podcast. Part of a complete breakfast.
That's what I call theater of the mind.
That is. It's quite amazing.
In a world filled with intergalactic space battles, metahuman destruction on a global scale, and psychopathic serial hauntings, there's only one team who can make sense of it all. When your world is overrun with rampant pop culture, call Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek.
I love a good explosion.
Who doesn't love
Going
an explosion?
into any show, you know it's going to be good when there's an explosion. We need the pyrotechnics. People can't see that, but they're going off behind me right now.
It's true. People think this is pre-taped. It's not. There are live pyrotechnics, live explosions happening. We're very dangerous.
So this is our second episode. Our first one debuted, and it was crazy.
It was insane. We can't even believe the feedback. It's nuts.
No, it's been good. Yeah. It's been good so far. We got a lot of feedback from people, and we'll just keep, we'll be tinkering with it as we go along. So some of the things I just want to mention in the last show, you mentioned Ready Player One.
Yes.
I have now seen it.
Excellent. Yeah. What did you think?
I loved it. It was really good. I thought I wasn't sure what to expect from it, but it was fantastic.
Did you think, hey, they made this movie based on my life?
Yeah, I know. It was just one thing after another. It was just reference. So that was pretty cool. I really enjoy a good reference-heavy show.
Absolutely. Well, there's lots of rewatchability because there's so many things hidden in there that you can go back and you'll find new things every time.
It's so good. So anyways, we last episode we talked about we reviewed 2018. Yes. And so in every episode we will be looking ahead to see what's happening because there's always news flying at us from all directions. We don't know. There's newspaper boys throwing stuff at us. We're dodging it.
We got a lot of extra going on outside our studio here. And
if we're doing news when people said extra, we're in trouble. We got some 1940s news here for you.
It's true. We love it.
Okay, so we have a news opener.
Yes.
Which I find very, very exciting. So when I open this, it might start playing.
Okay, let's try it.
Let's find out what happens.
We have a minute and a half. It's my responsibility to tell the control room and New York that we won't be ready. We'll be ready. In 84 seconds, 15 seconds.
And now the news with Loop and Larry.
Now that's how you introduce the news.
It sounds like an aerobics workout show in the background.
Everything in the 80s kind of sounded like an aerobics workout show. Doesn't matter what it was.
Good thing I'm wearing my headband. By the way,
I'm currently wearing spandex.
We're so excited about the show. I forgot to introduce us. I am Loop.
Oh, and I'm Larry.
There you go. We had this at one point. We had this big thing where we're going to do this every show. I'm Loop.
We made it one show.
One show. We'll bring it back. You never know.
It's a work in progress.
That's sort of the retro part of the shows when we just do things we did 2 episodes ago.
Right.
It's we're just bringing this stuff back. So this is our news section where we talk about things that are going on in the geek community. And let's start with TV. Lawrence, what we got?
Oh, so much happening in TV. Well, one of the sort of the hot topics right now is the latest episode from Black Mirror called Bandersnatch.
Ooh.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. And it's not really about Alice in Wonderland, as you might think it was, because I did first. I was like, hey, they're doing an Alice in Wonderland episode. That's fantastic. No, this is a choose-your-own-adventure type TV show. Now, I've got to be careful saying that because apparently they've been hit with a lawsuit by the choose-your-own-adventure people for saying it's a choose-your-own-adventure show.
Anytime anyone does anything successful, someone has to say, "Oh, it was my idea first." You ever notice that now? That's the newest thing. I came up with that idea last week, just yesterday or today. Do you remember Soulja Boy?
Yes.
He's saying that Drake stole his flow, and I'm like, you never had any flow.
No.
That's the problem. I want some flow. I have more flow than him.
Exactly. If he had any flow, I would have taken it. Anyway.
But so this was announced last year. They're going to be doing this episode. Do you watch Black Mirror on a regular basis?
Not on a regular basis. I've seen a few episodes.
I've watched all the episodes. It is dark.
It's really dark.
It is dark as dark can be, and it's kind of shows the what could happen with technology if it goes wrong. Is basically sort of the idea. It's kind of a Twilight Twilight Zone sort of show for those that have never seen it.
It's kind of like digital horror.
Yeah, and and you can watch an episode. They don't attach, but there's like Easter eggs from other episodes. I think on one of the in the Bandersnatch there was a video game with like a metal dog in it. That was from another episode.
Yeah.
So, how did you like the Choose Your Own Adventure? I really enjoyed it, and I got really deep into it.
I did too. I played the game for a solid 90 minutes. I'm pretty sure I got to at least 5 or 6 endings. I was so intrigued by the technology that they were using to do this, and just how it was, actually seamlessly going between choices. I just found that really amazing. I thought the story was intriguing too.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that the characters in the show were sort of playing along with you. They realized that there were choices being made on their behalf. I don't want to give too much away, but it's a really unique experience. If you can get to it, you should really try it.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, and I thought that it was a cool, how seamlessly when you pick it. I thought it was going to stop and then it would load or something but it just seamlessly moves right into it. It's really, really cool.
It's remarkable. Speaking of unique experiences. Not really, but the other big news that just dropped recently was the premiere date for season 3 of Stranger Things. I am a huge fan of Stranger Things because of my love of the 80s. This just struck me as being a total throwback, and I love 80s horror, and I love that sort of look and the feel, and this nails it. This show, so I was so excited that they've now given us a release date for it, and I believe it is July 14th?
It's 4th. July 4th.
July 4th. That's right. That is what it is. And I mean, up till this point, it's been like around the Halloween season, which is kind of...
You looked at the date upside down.
Yeah,
that's
I did.
Why. Yes,
that's right. The 4 came first. And I was like, well, it wasn't the 41st, so it must be the 4th, 14th. Anyway, so it's been up until this point. It's been a Halloween release, which is kind of cool because it is a horror show. But apparently, they wanted to boost the quality and the content for this one, so they decided to delay the start date a little bit. So I think we have a lot to expect from this season. It's going to be bigger and better than ever before.
Yeah, and the kids are now 23, so
exactly.
That's a problem with a show when you're basing it around a group of children.
Yes,
because they apparently they grow. Well, we both have kids. I'm like, when did my son become 15?
Exactly. Why does he sound like this now?
I know, but it's a cool concept. I mean, and the thing is, it can grow. The show can grow with them as it goes. But it's such a cool concept for a show, and the characters are all really cool. And I can't get enough of the show. It's so good.
It's true. I feel like if I were living in a horror movie when I was a teenager, this would be my life. This is how 80s it feels to me, and it's just so they just nailed it. It's just bang on. All the other references to Stephen King movies and that sort of. It's just so cool.
And I used to play Dungeons and Dragons, so I'm right in there with all those guys.
Exactly. And then our final big news for TV this week was, of course, the release date of the Game of Thrones final season, and we've been waiting a long time for this to happen. But it is coming, and it's coming April 14th.
Yeah,
that is right. See, I knew the 14th was in there somewhere. Coming April 14th, so it's very soon. And the first trailer dropped, and it's a little bit questionable as to whether the Starks are going to make it through this season. I don't know.
The trailer they had looked pretty cool. It was
really
cool.
cool.
I like when they do trailers that aren't a lot of scenes. I like when they kind of just base it on one scene.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that in a second, but a little bit later. But it's really cool how they did it, and I'm already intrigued. I want to know what's going to happen.
Exactly. I feel like that may not even be a scene from. I think that they shot a separate component to this.
That's what I think too.
Yeah, just to build the intrigue. And I love after a short trailer like this drops how many breakdowns there are. People will literally frame by frame.
And we'll talk about that in a second too, for sure.
Crazy. I love it.
How many episodes are in this season? Do you remember?
6. There are 6 episodes. However, they have said that each episode will average around 90 minutes.
Okay,
so we're talking about.
So really, it's
a full season,
almost a full season.
Exactly.
Just you don't have to. They'll continue each one.
That's
wow.
Right. I feel like it's a Game of Thrones movie every week for 6 weeks.
It's gonna be so
That's
good.
Right.
I love it. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
So what's going on in movie news?
Oh, movie news. Well, Of course, one of the bigger headlines recently was that Aquaman has passed the $1 billion mark, first time for the DCU.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they may be on a bit of a roll. Now, Aquaman didn't get great reviews.
Yeah.
However, I think Jason Momoa drew in the audiences. Everybody likes a Momoa.
Sit back with a good Momoa.
You can't help but just indulge in the Momoa.
I bet you. I don't know the breakdown, but I bet you I'm going to guess 65% of the people that went to see it are probably women.
I would say so. Yeah,
just because when you have him walking around with no shirt on through half the movie.
That's right. People have no idea who Aquaman is.
Yeah, I don't like to go see movies when I feel bad walking out about my own body shape.
Exactly. It's really body shaming the entire audience.
It really is.
When you put Jason Momoa in anything.
Especially the geek community.
Yes, that's true. So good for them for breaking that barrier.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, they're trying. It's kind of like the little engine that could. They're trying so hard.
Yeah.
And they're having there's little bright spots in within it, but hopefully it'll all come together for them.
I don't know that they'll ever get to the level of the Marvel universe.
No.
But they're inching their way to it.
They're getting there.
They're getting there. So we also have, speaking of Marvel universe, the new trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home dropped just recently. And somehow I didn't see this coming. I don't know how. So when it dropped, I was so like, what? Spider-Man? So it dropped, and it's a fantastic trailer. But now there's question about where it falls in the timeline of the Marvel universe, because last we saw of Spider-Man, he disappeared. He was Thanos'd away. So
with a snap of the finger.
Exactly. So does this one fall after that or before it? I don't know.
It's obviously going to fall after it. The problem is when you know that they've already signed for another movie. Same with Black Panther. They're not going to kill Black Panther off after it made $20 billion.
Exactly.
There's going to be a sequel. The crappiest of movies get a sequel if they even make the 70 million mark or whatever anymore. So
that's true.
So it's obviously it's after. It's just we're only seeing the trailer. But people, again, here's another one where people are breaking it down. Iron Man must be dead because they said he's not around, but it doesn't mean anything. You don't know what that means.
And that's the fun of trailers, is that they do that intentionally to throw people off. You come up with all these fantastic theories, and then when you see the movie, it's totally different than what you expected, and you're surprised still. It's very exciting.
Yeah, it should be pretty cool. But the in the comics, Iron Man, he dies, but he's actually his spirit's in a sort of in a computer, so he makes himself a hologram and things. So he's but then he ends up coming back to life, like every hero ever does.
Of course, nobody ever dies in the MCU.
No.
Okay, and then the big news for me that just dropped today on the day that we're recording this is Ghostbusters 3 has been officially announced, and a little trailer even dropped for it. And this one is the one that I've been waiting for because it takes place in the original Ghostbusters universe. It is apparently a direct sequel to Ghostbusters 2, and apparently Bill Murray is attached.
Yeah.
So this feels to me, and it's being directed by Jason Reitman, son of Ivan Reitman, who was the director of the first one, so it's keeping it in the family. And I feel like this could be the Ghostbusters that we've been waiting for.
Well, I'm hoping Bobby Brown's going to make an appearance because he was in number 2 as a doorman, so I'm hoping that he's going to reprise that role. So I know there's negotiations. They're trying to get him. I don't know if they're going to or not.
Well, that could make or break this movie.
It really could make or break this movie. But I watched the trailer today, and because I heard the announcement yesterday of taping day, I heard yesterday, and then today the trailer went down, and it had a real feel of the original movies.
Yes.
And I don't know why. It had sort of an 80s feel to it. Like the sound of stuff. And if you haven't seen it, I'm sure by the time you've heard this, you would have seen it. But because let's just break it down. It shows the car in this old garage.
Yeah.
But
it's got the original music. The original creepy music, Ghostbusters music, is playing as the camera tracks towards this garage.
But it has that sort of sort of electronic sound they use in the 80s.
Exactly. And you actually hear the sound of the I've forgotten what they're called. The plasma guns.
Like the photon.
Yes, torpedoes.
Yeah, we're making these up. I don't even know what they're. Sometimes you have to think of things on the spot. You're just I'm mixing up with 20 other movies.
Our brains aren't that fast. But anyway, all the sound effects are there. It really got me excited. I thought this is going to be super cool.
I broke it down, and I think that barn is owned by Mark Wahlberg from Transformers.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I think that's where he found Optimus Prime.
Really?
Yeah, number 5 or whatever.
well,
Yeah,
that
I'm just gonna throw that out. I think that is.
I'm gonna buy into that theory, and I'm gonna start spreading it like wildfire.
Note: do not use any of our theories on the street.
Best to avoid everything we say. So that's it really for news in the movie side. What else do you have?
The only other news I have, and I know you're not a big wrestling fan, but All Elite Wrestling debuted. They had a big kickoff, and they don't have a TV deal yet, but I think they're going to have one. And the reason I'm mentioning it is because it's owned by a businessman named Shahid Khan, and Tony Khan is his son, and they own the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they're like billionaires.
What?
So what this means is they have money to put into this. Now, also part of it is Cody Rhodes, who is Dusty Rhodes' son.
Oh, yeah, yep.
And then the Young Bucks. So these are all guys that are sort of like the top in the cool indie wrestlers.
Cool.
So, and then Chris Jericho just signed. He used to be with the WWE, which is a huge signing that he's signing with this, which means he believes in the product.
Yep.
I think they've signed a couple other guys that were ex-WWE guys, but good ones, and kind of really cool indie wrestlers. So this could be a run at the WWE a little bit. I don't think they'll never get to the level of WWE, but then I said that about WCW, and look what happened to them.
That's right. This could be a game changer for wrestling right here.
It could be. It could be huge for them. I don't know how it's going to go or what's going to happen, but if they play it right, they could slowly, they did it just, it was called All In. It was just another event they sort of just did recently, and it sold out. So
there's
it was
a lot of potential here.
Yeah, so indie wrestling doesn't normally sell out, but it sold out. So that was kind of like, okay, something's happening here, and people just want another product. It's like anything, right? You just want an alternative to the mainstream.
Well, and I feel like indie is the new mainstream.
It totally is the new mainstream.
It is. Yep.
I don't know what that means, but we'll just go with it. All right, I think it's about time.
What's it time for, Loop?
I think it's time that we jump in the pop capacitor.
Oh, pop capacitor. Should we walk over to the?
Yeah, I put it in this old barn.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Let's slowly walk over to it, take the cover off and see what we can do.
Getting in here. Don't press that button. Oh. 88 miles per hour! All right.
And now we hurry back to the studio as always. We can't get back here fast enough.
All right, we're back.
What a trip.
So in the pop capacitor segment, we've gone back in time essentially, and or it's again theater of the mind. Just we're back in time, and we're always going to look at something that a piece of pop culture.
Yeah. That you may be familiar with, maybe you won't be familiar with. But we're going to take a look at it and see if it still holds up and if it's something that you should check out again or if you should just sort of forget that you ever saw in the first place.
And this is something I think if you're a geek, you might have this in your movie collection, and you definitely will have to dust it off.
Now, can I just preface this whole thing by saying I actually had this in my movie collection for probably 20 years. And had never watched it. So you might be like me and have thought, I really need to watch this, but eventually I will, or maybe I won't. But we're going to tell you now whether you should or shouldn't. So what are we talking about here?
We are talking about a movie called Logan's Run, and it's a movie that I felt like, most people feel like if they're a geek, they or like sci-fi, they feel like they need to own.
Absolutely.
For some reason, we don't know why.
Yep.
I've got a little piece of trailer here. I'm going to play it for you.
Okay.
Just imagine a world where you will hold your entire future in the palm of your hand, when a tiny glowing crystal will guide you through an existence in which each day is more wonderful than the last.
It's dramatic.
Where it will be possible for you to obtain the fulfillment of every fantasy, the satisfaction of every vanity, the absolute attainment of every wish.
How do I do this?
Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer presents the Saul David production of Logan's Run.
Wow. If that doesn't suck you in, I don't know.
I don't know what will. I like in those old movies where it's like they have to say every single producer of it. It's like,
in the trailer.
I know. Logan's Run.
Oh, that's just fantastic. So I'm speaking about this as somebody who just saw it for the first time. So I did not grow up with this movie, although I grew up knowing about this movie and having seen little snippets of it. So
yeah,
you know,
I had watched it like years and years ago, but it just seemed like a movie I needed to own. Like it's one of those dystopian type movies.
It falls in the same category as Soylent Green and Omega Man. So it's about dystopian society that seems like the most fantastic place to live. However, as soon as you turn 30 years old, you're given the boot. You want the boot.
Because there's only so much population and it has to be controlled. So they keep it at the exact same population by basically moving people in and out by killing them.
That's right.
But they make it seem like this grand thing to do. Now, before we even get into that part, I just want to mention that I went to grab my movie because I have it, or I thought I did.
Yes.
And I realized I couldn't find it. And I'm like, did I get rid of it? At some point,
nobody gets rid of that movie.
I might have. So I ended up ordering it, and I ordered this Blu-ray, which comes with Soylent Green and Omega Man.
There you go.
It's a 3-pack, 3 movies in one,
right?
And it's a Blu-ray. So I got it, watched it, and then about a day later, I was doing something, and then I found the same set in my collection under a different area. So I have 2 copies of the 3 movies.
So not only do people have this in their collection, some people have multiple versions of it.
I have 2 of them. I'm like, why do I have 2 of these now? So anyways, I got 2, so that's great.
If anybody wants one, we've got an extra.
Put it up for auction, loopandlarry.com. But and then because the thing I remember about that movie is, and you have it right there, and maybe you can just do a little clip of that box there. It's the old style.
Yeah, Liz, I don't know if you can hear this or not. This is the DVD. Listen. So you have to actually clip it open and close. It's.
Can I just say, who designed those boxes?
I don't know, but
those snap boxes are so dumb.
They are, and they're paper. Like, there's a paper cover on this. Really? This is like a VHS box?
I just remember, it was kind of difficult to open. Yes. It's like a Tupperware DVD box.
It is.
It's really
exactly
what it is. It's like trying to open Tupperware when you're not.
It's terrible.
So, what did you think of the movie?
You know what? It's first of all, it's of its time. So it came out in 1976, and it definitely looks like 1976. However, having said that, the effects are still really cool. I really liked the aesthetic of this movie. It looks like the way the future in 1976 would have looked. Like when they were talking about the future in 1976, this is what you would imagine. They spent I can't even imagine what percentage of their budget was spent on set design, but they went over the top with it. It's amazing. They designed vehicles, they designed weapons, they designed entire buildings and
like models and
miniatures, and it really is. It's very all encompassing. It's really visually it's stunning. It's really cool.
There's a part in the movie when people get killed, they get lifted up and they're floating around. Well, apparently they were on ropes.
Yes.
Yeah, and the first time they did it, the ropes got all tangled. Apparently, and everybody was they couldn't get them down. They were all just hanging there because they were all so tangled up. They couldn't So I saw that in the commentary on the movie, which I haven't watched the commentary in God knows how long. It's like, oh, commentary, because really no use in watching a commentary unless you're gonna learn something, I guess, about the movie.
And that's kind of a neat tidbit. I mean, that's so 1976. That wouldn't happen anymore. First of all, they would CG people up in the air. They wouldn't attach them to a rope. Yeah. But visually, this movie is still stunning. I just thought that it was quite amazing.
And it's got in the movie too. Everybody's got like a gem on their hand, and then it turns a color when they die. But then Michael York is a part of this, almost like a police unit that hunts people down that run, which is Logan's Run.
Yes.
That hunts. I guess it's Logan. That's why it's called Logan's Run.
His name is Logan. Yep.
He chases these guys down because they don't want to die at 30, and they know they're going to, so they take off, and then these guys go in and catch them.
That's right. And they have the best name in the movie. The police force are called the Sandmen.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Because they put people to sleep.
I guess they do. The dumbest name in it is the robot.
The box.
The box.
Well, this is 1976. They weren't really clever with those sorts of things.
The robot looked ridiculous, too.
It literally was flailing its hands all over the place. So, it looked kind of interesting, but it was so
It sort of reminded me of a combation of a robot from Metropolis and the Lost in Space robot a little bit.
Will Robinson.
And that box thing from Star Wars, that one that
the gonk.
Yeah.
That's
exactly what it's called.
Yeah, yes.
Like gonk.
Yeah, because he goes around saying that gonk. Yeah. Exactly. But I mean, the story is pretty cool too. Like, it really does have a kind of a bit of a complex storyline and about redemption and, realizing that freedom is important. And so it's got a really cool message.
Yeah, because as cool as the world is for them, and it's like you can fulfill every fantasy, as it said in the beginning of that trailer, they're really trapped in this world.
Yes.
The big question is at the end is like, who's running this world? Because is it someone set up these because they're talking to a lot of computers and things. Yep. Did someone set these up years ago and then died? Like, and they just kind of run themselves? Like, it's like,
I'm pretty sure that was the origin of Skynet. I'm pretty sure Skynet, this is what happens when Skynet takes over. Everything is great and nice, but everybody dies.
Again, do not use any of our theories.
Nope.
But yeah, it's like that was kind of interesting at the end because they do get out of the building, and then there's a whole reason why, and it's like
we don't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah, I've already spoiled half of it, but anyways, it's
but it's definitely worth watching. It really, if you're a sci-fi fan, this is the height of 70s sci-fi.
The only thing in it that's really weird is the scene when they're taking off and they have to go through that big orgy scene.
Oh yes,
I don't know what that was.
I don't know.
It was really, really weird. I was like, this is very 70s, but it was kind of just oddball.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, what is going on in this scene? It was all like trippy, and they're like walking through. And there's all these like naked people in it, and it's like it was just bizarre.
It really kind of made me uncomfortable. I just wanted out of that scene.
I want to go now.
Yeah. But it was neat. It was really cool to have seen sort of where Hollywood was in the 70s with, I memean, of course, a year later, Star Wars came out and changed everything. Yeah. But up until that point.
And Logan's Run got put in a SNAPBOX on your shelf.
In the $1.99 bin.
Why do I own 2 copies?
I know, because it's only $1.99. Why wouldn't you spend it on 2 copies?
I got so upset when I couldn't find my SNAPBOX copy. So obviously what I did, I bought the Blu-ray and got rid of that.
Yes.
And then you went and bought it from
That's right. I probably bought it from you 20 years ago.
Hey, Lawrence, want a SNAPBOX copy of
Yes, I do,
Logan's Run? I gotta find out what those are called. It's probably called something like that.
I'm gonna call them SNAPBoxes from now on because that's a pretty accurate.
I'm not sure if the pop capacitor was on Logan's Run or the SNAPBox.
I don't know. There's a lot to talk about in this cool SNAPBox.
One more time. I gotta hear it one more time.
Okay, ready? Here goes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, snap.
That is technology at its best.
It is. It really is good.
Well, I think that pretty much sums up our show.
It does.
We're going to call this episode SNAPBox.
Yes.
I think that'll be
episode 2 SNAPBox.
It's like Bandersnatch. Yeah. Bandersnapbox.
Exactly. Except you don't get to choose your own adventure. You have to listen to all of what we just said.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. If you have any suggestions for the pop capacitor, please, you can tweet us at Lupin Larry.
Yep.
1.
Is it Lupin Larry 1? That's right, yeah. And
apparently someone else has Lupin Larry. I'm going to go with Lupin Larry 1.
Well, it's probably you. You probably did it once and then forgot and did it again.
And then screwed it up and then had to redo it again, yeah. Or you can go to our Facebook page and do whatever,
Instagram, we're all over the place.
Yeah, we've got all the socials covered.
That's right.
I also want to thank Jack 1023 in London for letting us record here, which is awesome. And
really is.
And the Lawrence Production Studio, who brings us great closers just like this one. I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Produced by Matthew C. Loop and Lawrence Simner. A Loop and Larry production.
Bueller.
He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Bueller.
Bad news. Fog is getting thicker.
And Leon's getting larger.
Inconceivable.
Brian's right. It's an elf.
Wax on.
Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Wax off.